The night was cold, and rain fell quietly on the streets of the alien city. Neon lights glowed from tall towers, painting the wet ground with colors of red, blue, and green. The street was busy in the day, but now it was almost empty. A few hovercars moved slowly, and shadows passed behind glass windows. In the corner of one broken street lamp sat a girl. She was thin, covered in old clothes, her skin rough from dust and hunger. She was not just any girl, she was one of the many forgotten ones. Living on the streets where no one cared, her stomach growled, but she ignored it. She was used to hunger. She was used to people walking past without even looking at her. Her eyes wandered along the ground, always searching for something: food, coins, or scraps she could trade. That was how she survived. Every night was the same. But tonight, something different happened. As she bent down to check under a broken step, her eyes caught a strange light. It was small, shining faintly on the wet ground. She picked it up with shaky hands. Her heart jumped. It was not a coin. It was not trash. It was a wallet, but not a normal one. The leather was smooth, dark, and strong. A silver crest glowed on the front, a mark she had never seen before but somehow felt dangerous. Her hands shook as she opened it. Inside, glowing credits filled the pockets, enough money to feed her for months. More than she had ever seen in her entire life. She swallowed hard. But there was something else inside. A card with symbols. A seal pressed in gold. Her eyes widened. Even though she was poor, she was not stupid. She had heard whispers on the streets. This was not just a wallet. This belonged to someone powerful, someone important. Her breath grew heavy. She looked left and right. No one had seen her pick it up. She could hide it under her clothes, run far away, and buy food, warm clothes, maybe even a small place to sleep. No one would ever know. But her heart felt heavy. A voice inside whispered, "If this belongs to someone powerful, they will come looking. And if they find it with you, you will not live to enjoy it." She bit her lip. What should she do? For a moment, she just stood in the rain, the wallet tight in her hand, her thoughts fighting. Then, in the distance, she heard the sound of engines. A black hovercar slowed down at the corner. Its lights cut through the rain. She froze. Her heart pounded. The car stopped. Doors opened, figures stepped out. Tall armed guards in silver armor scanned the street. One of them spoke into a communicator. Still searching. The Diplomat lost it near this district. The girl's blood turned cold. She clutched the wallet to her chest and stepped back into the shadows. A diplomat. That word was heavy. She had no idea what kind of man he was, but she knew what diplomats meant: power, soldiers, politics. People like her were nothing compared to them. If they saw her holding his wallet, they would call her a thief. Thieves were not forgiven. Her legs trembled. Should she run? Should she throw it away? The rain grew heavier, splashing on the ground, drowning her in sound. One guard turned, his eyes sharp, scanning the shadows. She held her breath, praying the darkness would hide her. But then another thought stabbed her mind. What if I give it back? The idea felt crazy. But maybe, just maybe, if she returned it, they would reward her. Even a single coin would save her for days. Maybe they would even give her food. She was starving. And yet, another darker thought pushed in. What if they don't believe me? What if they punish me anyway? Her heart raced. The black hovercar's door opened again. This time, a man stepped out. Not a guard, not a soldier. His clothes were silver and clean, shining even in the rain. His face was calm, but his eyes were sharp, watching everything. The guard stood straighter in his presence. He was the diplomat. The owner of the wallet. The girl's hands shook harder. The wallet suddenly felt heavier, as if it carried her fate. She took a small step forward, then stopped. Her breath caught in her throat. What if this was her only chance to change her life? What if this single decision would decide if she lived another hungry night, or something far greater? She stared at the diplomat, her heart pounding louder than the rain. And then, slowly, she stepped out of the shadows. The guards noticed her at once. "Stop there," one shouted. Weapons rose, aiming at her small figure. She froze, holding the wallet out with trembling hands. The guards rushed forward, but the diplomat raised his hand, stopping them. His eyes focused on her. The girl could not speak. Her lips were dry. She lifted the wallet higher. The neon lights reflected on its silver crest. The rain fell harder. The street grew silent. The world seemed to hold its breath. The diplomat stepped closer. His eyes narrowed as he saw what she held, and then, just as she thought he would shout or strike her, a faint smile touched his lips. The girl's heart stopped. She had no idea what would happen next. The rain did not stop. It poured harder, washing the streets with silver light. The girl stood frozen, the wallet shaking in her small hands. The guards kept their weapons ready, their eyes sharp with suspicion. But the diplomat raised his hand, and instantly they obeyed, lowering their weapons but not their anger. They still looked at her like she was dirt, like she was a street rat who had dared to crawl into their world. The girl's throat was dry, but somehow she found her voice. It came out weak, almost lost in the rain. It fell. I found it. She held out the wallet with both hands, as if it burned her to touch it. The diplomat stepped closer. He was tall, calm, and carried a weight of power in his presence. His eyes locked onto hers. For a moment, she thought he would shout, accuse her, or call her a thief. But instead, he simply took the wallet from her hands. His fingers brushed hers for just a second. Warmth, strange warmth, silence filled the air. The guards shifted uneasily, waiting for their leader to speak. Finally, the diplomat opened the wallet, checked inside, and then closed it with care. His sharp eyes returned to the girl. "You returned it," he said softly. His voice was calm, steady, but carried something more. It was not anger. It was not suspicion. It was surprise. The girl lowered her head. "I didn't take anything." One of the guards scoffed. "Street rats always lie. Search her." He stepped forward, but again, the diplomat lifted his hand. The guard froze in place, angry but obedient. The diplomat studied her. Her clothes were torn. Her face was pale. She was young, far too young to be alone on the streets. Yet there she stood, trembling but still brave enough to face them. He tilted his head slightly. "What is your name?" he asked. The girl blinked. Her lips parted, but no sound came. A name. She had not spoken her name in so long. No one had asked. No one cared. She finally whispered, I don't have one." The diplomat's eyes narrowed. A girl with no name, no home, no family. He looked at her for a long moment, then gave a faint nod. "Very well." He turned to his guards. "Bring her with us." The guards stared at him in shock. "Sir?" one asked. "She's a street rat. She'd do as I said." His voice cut like steel. No one argued after that. The girl's heart pounded. Bring her. Where? Why? She wanted to run, but the guards had already stepped around her, guiding her toward the black hover car. She looked at the diplomat, but his expression gave nothing away. Calm, unreadable inside the car, the warmth and luxury almost blinded her. Soft seats, glowing lights, the quiet hum of power beneath the floor. She had never seen anything like it. She sat stiff, afraid to touch anything. Her wet clothes dripped onto the floor, but no one said a word. The diplomat sat across from her. The wallet rested on his lap. For a moment, silence ruled the car. The only sound was the steady rhythm of the rain against the glass. Finally, he spoke. "Do you know what this is?" He lifted the wallet slightly. She shook her head quickly. "I only saw money." I didn't steal it." He gave a small nod. "Inside this wallet is more than money. It carries symbols of power. Secrets. If the wrong hands took it, many lives could be lost." His eyes searched her face as if trying to see her soul. "And yet, you returned it." Her fingers gripped her knees. "Because it was yours." The diplomat leaned back, studying her. For a long time, he said nothing. The silence made her nervous. She thought maybe he was waiting for her to confess something, or maybe he was deciding her punishment. But then, he reached to the side and pressed a small button. A tray opened, holding food. Fresh bread, steaming broth, fruit. The smell filled the car. The girl's stomach twisted painfully. She hadn't eaten in days. "Eat," the diplomat said simply. Her eyes widened. She shook her head. "No, I shouldn't." "Eat," he repeated, firmer this time. Her shaking hands reached forward. She grabbed a piece of bread, biting into it. Tears filled her eyes as the warm taste touched her tongue. She ate quickly, afraid it would be taken away. The guards looked at her with disgust, whispering to each other. But the diplomat remained silent, his eyes thoughtful. For the first time in years, she felt full. She wiped her mouth with her sleeve and lowered her head. "Thank you," she whispered. The diplomat leaned forward, resting his elbows on his knees. "Why did you return it?" The girl froze. The question burned inside her. Why? She could have run. She could have sold it. She could have eaten for months. But instead, she stood here, in a car with people who could kill her with one word. She finally whispered, "Because it was not mine." The diplomat's eyes softened for just a moment. Then, suddenly, his communicator buzzed loudly. He pressed it to his ear. A voice spoke urgently on the other end. "Sir, we intercepted a message. Someone is watching you. A spy is near." The girl's heart jumped. A spy? She looked around the car's windows, the glowing city rushing past. For the first time, she realized something terrifying. Someone was following them, and maybe, just maybe. They thought she was the spy. The black hover car stopped outside the shining gates of the embassy. Golden lights glowed on tall walls, and guards stood ready at every corner. The poor girl pressed her forehead against the glass, staring in silence. She had never seen such a place. Everything looked bigger, brighter. And far away from the dirty streets, she called home. The doors opened, and cold air rushed in. A guard signaled her to step out. She hesitated, afraid. But the diplomat gave a small nod, so she followed. Her bare feet touched the clean marble steps. She felt unworthy even to walk there. The guards whispered among themselves as they walked behind her. "Why bring her here?" One muttered, "She's nothing." Another laughed under his breath. "Maybe she's hiding something." Their words burned her ears, but she stayed silent. She was used to such voices. The streets had taught her not to answer, not to fight. Silence was safer. Inside the embassy, everything smelled of warmth and spice. Bright carpets stretched across the floor. The girl's eyes went wide at the sight of chandeliers hanging like glowing stars above her. She walked slowly, afraid she would break something just by breathing too close. The diplomat led her into a long hall. At the end was a table filled with food, meats, fruits, bread, shining plates of dishes she did not even have names for. The smell filled the air, making her stomach twist again. She had eaten in the car. But hunger did not leave easily when it had lived inside her for years. "Sit," the diplomat said softly. She froze. Sit at this table. With him, her eyes darted to the guards. They were already frowning. One whispered harshly, "She doesn't belong here." Another sneered, "Rats don't sit at a king's table." Her chest tightened. She lowered her head. "I can stand, sir." "I don't belong, sit," the diplomat repeated, firmer this time. Her legs trembled, but she obeyed. She sat at the very edge of the chair, her hands in her lap. A servant stepped forward to offer her a plate, but the guard scowled. Why waste food on her? The diplomat raised his hand, silencing them. Enough. His voice was calm, but carried steel. Everyone obeyed. The girl picked up a piece of bread and tasted it. Tears burned her eyes. She tried not to eat too quickly, but her body wanted more and more. The diplomat watched quietly, his expression unreadable. Finally, he leaned forward and spoke. "You saved something important tonight. Do you understand?" The girl froze with the bread in her hand. I don't know." He tapped the wallet resting beside his plate. Inside, this was not just money. It carried a seal of trust. Without it, doors to peace would close. Enemies wanted it. They were watching. If you had run, if you had sold it, the galaxy might wake to war. Her chest rose and fell. She could hardly believe it. The wallet she almost kept for food could have changed the fate of worlds. "You gave it back," he continued. "You chose honesty over survival. That is rare." The girl lowered her eyes. She did not feel honest. She had almost kept it. She had almost chosen hunger's voice. But his words pressed into her heart like fire. One guard stepped forward, his face red with anger. "Sir, forgive me, but she cannot be trusted. She is from the streets. She could be a thief, a spy planted by our enemies." The other guards nodded quickly. Their hands touched their weapons. The girl's heart thudded. Was this the end? Would they throw her back to the streets or worse? But the diplomat's voice cut through their noise. "Enough, she stays." The guard stared in shock. "Stays with us?" "Yes." His voice was steady, sharp. "She saved more than a wallet. She saved time, trust, and lives. If you cannot see that, then you see nothing at all." Oh. The room grew silent. The girl could barely breathe. Stays. What did that mean? Why was he defending her? The diplomat turned his eyes back to her. "Tell me, where are your parents?" Her throat closed. She looked down. The words came out broken. "I don't know." The diplomat studied her face, then gave a slow nod. His expression softened for the first time. "Then tonight, you will not sleep on the streets." Her heart nearly stopped. She looked up at him, her mouth open in shock. "What? You heard me," he said. "You will stay here, safe." The guards exchanged glances, whispering in disbelief. But the diplomat ignored them. He pressed his communicator again, giving quiet orders to a servant. Soon, a blanket and clean clothes were brought into the hall. The girl touched the fabric. It was soft, too soft, like something from a dream. For the first time in years, her body relaxed, but just as she began to believe she was safe, the diplomat's communicator buzzed again. He answered, his face darkening as he listened. A voice on the other side spoke sharply. "Sir, be careful. A spy is close. Someone inside the embassy is feeding information to the enemy. They know you have the girl." The diplomat's eyes flickered toward her. Not with anger, but with something colder. Suspicion. The girl's hands clenched the blanket tightly. Her heart froze. Did they think? She was the spy. Asterisk, the hall grew quiet after the diplomat ended the call. The words still echoed in the girl's mind. Someone inside the embassy is feeding information to the enemy. They know you have the girl. Her chest tightened. The guard's eyes turned sharp, like knives. She could feel their stares cutting into her skin. One of them whispered harshly, "It must be her." Who else could it be? She appeared out of nowhere, holding the wallet like a prize. Another guard stepped forward, his hand on his weapon. "Sir, she cannot be trusted. Let us throw her back into the streets before she ruins us all." The girl's heart pounded. She clutched the blanket tighter, her small frame trembling. "I am not a spy," she cried out, her voice breaking. "I swear, I just found the wallet. I only wanted to give it back." The guards laughed bitterly. Street rats always have excuses. Thieves, liars. That's all they are. The diplomat lifted his hand, silencing them. His sharp eyes studied her face. He did not speak for a long time, and the silence pressed heavier than their words. The girl could not move under his gaze. He seemed to look straight through her, searching for the truth hidden inside her heart. Finally, he spoke, his voice calm but heavy. If she was a spy, would she have returned the wallet? The guards hesitated. One answered quickly, "Yes, if it was part of the plan. She could be pretending, waiting for our trust." The diplomat's eyes narrowed. He looked back at the girl. "Why did you return it?" Her lips trembled. The question again. Always the same question. She wanted to say something clever, something that would save her. But all that came out was the truth, because it was not mine. The room grew still. The diplomat leaned back slowly, his hands folded. His face showed no anger, no smile, only thought. "Simple words," he said softly. Sometimes the simplest words are the hardest to believe. The guards shifted, restless. One muttered, "She is dangerous." But before they could press further, the girl noticed something strange. Out of the corner of her eye, a shadow moved outside the window. Her breath caught. Someone was there, watching. She gasped and pointed. "Look outside." The guards turned sharply, rushing toward the window. But by the time they looked, the shadow was gone. The night was empty again, only rain tapping against the glass. The guards scoffed. "She is trying to trick us now." "No." The girl cried, "I saw him. He had something like a weapon." "He was watching you?" The guards glared at her. "Enough of your lies." But the diplomat did not move. He stood slowly, walked toward the window, and stared out into the rain. His sharp eyes narrowed as if searching for the ghostly figure. He said nothing, only pressed his communicator again. "Double the watch on the east side," he ordered. "No one comes in or out without my word." The girl's heart pounded harder. She wanted him to believe her. She wanted someone to see she was telling the truth. But the guard's whispers poisoned the air. What if she signaled him? What if she is leading them straight to us? "She is dangerous. I can feel it." Her hands shook. She wanted to scream that she was innocent, but the words stuck in her throat. She had lived her whole life with no one believing her. Why would this night be any different? The diplomat turned back to her. His eyes locked with hers. "You saw someone." She nodded quickly, tears threatening to spill. "Yes, he was on the roof. He was watching you. Please believe me." The diplomat studied her for a long moment. Then he gave a slow nod. "Very well. We will treat your words as truth." The guards gasped. "Sir, you cannot enough." His voice cut like steel again. "If she speaks lies, we will know soon. If she speaks truth, then we are in greater danger than we thought." The girl's chest loosened just a little. But fear still clung to her bones. The diplomat stepped closer, his voice low so only she could hear. "If you are lying, girl, the price will be heavy. But if you are not..." Then you have just saved my life a second time. Her throat burned, and she nodded quickly. I am not lying. The diplomat's communicator buzzed again. He lifted it to his ear. This time the voice was urgent, filled with panic. Sir. Movement on the rooftop. A weapon aimed at you. Before the words even finished, a red light cut through the window. A sniper's scope. The girl's eyes widened. There, I told you. She screamed. The diplomat's eyes flashed. In one swift motion, he pushed her down to the ground as the glass shattered. A shot exploded through the air. Chaos erupted. Guards fired back, alarms rang, and the embassy filled with flashing lights. The girl covered her ears, trembling as soldiers shouted orders. Through the chaos, she felt the diplomat's hand on her shoulder, shielding her. His voice was sharp, commanding. She stays with me. No one touches her. And in that moment, she realized something terrifying. The sniper had not been aiming for the diplomat at all. The red light had been aimed at her. Asterisk. The sound of shattering glass filled the hall. The shot burned through the air, leaving smoke and the smell of heat behind. Guards shouted, running to the windows, weapons raised. Sirens blared, red lights flashing across the embassy walls. The girl lay on the floor, her hands over her ears, her whole body shaking. Her heart pounded so hard she thought it might break her chest. The diplomat pulled her up quickly, his voice firm. Stay close to me. She stumbled to her feet, clutching the blanket still wrapped around her. Another shot rang out. The guards fired back, beams of blue light cutting through the storm outside. The night had turned into a battlefield. One guard shouted, "They're not aiming at you, sir. They're aiming at the girl." The words stabbed into her like a knife. Her knees weakened. Why? Why would anyone want her dead? She was nothing. Just a street rat. But here, in this moment, she was the center of their enemy's eyes. The diplomat's jaw tightened. Protect her, he barked. His voice carried power, and the guards obeyed, forming a circle around them. But still, she saw the doubt in their eyes. Another explosion ripped the side of the hall as a hidden charge went off. The walls shook, dust falling from the ceiling. The girl screamed, clutching the diplomat's arm. They're inside. A guard shouted dot from the smoke. Dark figures appeared. Assassins, dressed in black armor, their faces hidden, their weapons glowing with red fire. They moved quickly, too quickly. The diplomat pushed the girl behind him, drawing his own weapon, a sleek silver blaster that hummed with power. His eyes narrowed, steady even in the chaos. He fired. One assassin fell, sparks flying as the blast hit his chest. But more came. The guards fought back, beams of blue and red clashing like lightning in the night. The embassy shook with sound, every corner flashing with battle. The girl crouched low, her hands over her head. Fear froze her body, but her eyes stayed wide, watching everything. For the first time, she saw the diplomat not just as a leader, but as a warrior. Calm, sharp, moving like the storm belonged to him. One assassin broke through the line, his blade glowing as he rushed toward her. Her scream tore the air. But before the blade could strike, the diplomat moved faster than her eyes could follow. His weapon fired, and the assassin collapsed at her feet. He turned, his voice sharp. Move, don't just freeze. Her legs trembled, but she forced herself to crawl toward the corner as guards covered her. Shots screamed over her head. Every second felt like the last dot through the chaos. She noticed something strange. The assassins were not aiming at the diplomat anymore. Their eyes, their weapons, everything was locked on her. Why her? Why always her? She pressed her back against the wall, tears in her eyes, trying to understand. She was nobody. She had no family, no name, nothing. Why would the enemy care if she lived or died? Unless the wallet had more meaning than she knew. Another blast shook the embassy. The ceiling cracked and smoke filled the air. A guard pulled her up roughly. "Come on," he barked. But the moment he dragged her forward, a shot pierced his armor. He collapsed beside her, lifeless. Her scream caught in her throat. The diplomat rushed forward, grabbing her arm, pulling her close. His voice thundered, even in the chaos. "Stay with me. I said you are under my protection." The assassins pressed harder, but the guards fought back with everything they had. The hall became a storm of light and smoke, every second louder than the last. Finally, the diplomat shouted an order. "Fall back to the secure chamber. Now." The guards tightened their circle, forcing a path through the fire. He held her close, shielding her with his own body as they moved. Blasts slammed into the walls, but somehow, step by step, they pushed forward. The girl's breath came in gasps, her chest tight. She had never been in a place of such danger, never so close to death. Every step felt like a miracle at last. Heavy doors closed behind them with a loud clang. The room shook once more as the locks sealed. The sirens faded to a muffled hum. Silence fell. The girl dropped to the floor, her chest heaving, tears running down her face. She hugged herself, shaking all over. The guards checked the room quickly, then turned to the diplomat. "Sir, we held them back for now, but they'll break through soon. They want her. It's her they're after." The diplomat's face was like stone. He looked at the girl, his eyes filled with questions she could not answer. She whispered, her voice small. "Why? Why are they trying to kill me?" The diplomat crouched down to her level. His voice was calm, but heavy. "Because you have something they want." Her eyes widened. "Me? But I don't. I don't have anything." He reached into the wallet and pulled out a small, glowing card she hadn't noticed before. It shimmered faintly, like it carried a secret too big for words. "This," he said softly, "is the key to peace. And you are the only reason it is still safe." Her chest tightened. She shook her head quickly. "I didn't do anything. I just gave it back." He placed a hand on her shoulder. His voice dropped low, almost a whisper. "Sometimes the smallest choice changes the fate of millions. You saved my life tonight, and maybe the lives of many more." Her tears fell harder, but deep inside, a strange fire sparked in her heart. For the first time, she realized she was no longer invisible. She mattered. But before that fire could grow, the alarms blared again. The heavy doors shook as explosions rattled outside. The enemies were not finished. They were coming back. This time, stronger. The heavy doors shook again, dust falling from the ceiling. The girl covered her ears as the sound of explosions echoed outside. She felt trapped, her heart pounding so loudly it almost drowned out the alarms. Guards tightened their circle around the chamber, weapons ready, eyes fixed on the door. Everyone knew it would not hold forever. In the middle of the chaos, the diplomat remained calm. He stood tall, his silver uniform glowing faintly under the emergency lights. He did not look at the door. He looked only at the girl. "You want to know why they are hunting you?" he said quietly. Her lips trembled. "Yes. Why me? I'm nothing." He shook his head slowly. "No. You are not nothing. You are the only reason this embassy still stands." The words made no sense to her. She hugged her knees tighter, shaking her head. "I only found a wallet. That's all. I didn't do anything special." The diplomat reached into his coat and pulled out the small, glowing card. Its golden seal shimmered in the dim light. He held it up for her to see. "This is not just a card," he explained. "It is a key. A key to an agreement between humans and alien leaders. With it, peace can be signed. Without it, war will rise. The girl's eyes widened. Her breath caught in her throat. She stared at the glowing card, unable to believe such power could be hidden in something so small. And this card, Diplomat continued, was inside the wallet you returned. If the enemy had stolen it, they would have destroyed our chance for peace. They would have fueled war. And you, his eyes locked onto hers. You stopped that from happening. Her body went cold. She wanted to speak, but no words came. She thought back to that rainy street, to the moment she almost kept the wallet. She remembered the hunger twisting her stomach, the temptation burning in her mind. If she had chosen differently. The thought terrified her. She whispered, almost to herself, I could have doomed everyone. The diplomat's face softened. But you didn't. That is what matters. The guards shifted uneasily. One of them growled, Sir, with respect, she didn't know what she carried. It was chance, luck. The diplomat's voice sharpened. No, it was choice. She could have stolen it, sold it, or left it to rot. Instead, she returned it. Choice matters more than luck. The girl's chest tightened. His words felt heavy, like they carried more weight than she could bear. She wasn't ready to matter this much. She had never mattered before. Suddenly, the alarms cut through again louder, sharper. The door shook under another blast. One hinge cracked. The guards cursed under their breath, preparing for the next wave. The girl buried her face in her hands. They won't stop until I'm dead. The diplomat crouched down beside her, his voice low, steady. They don't just want you dead. They want to erase you. Because as long as you live, your choice lives too. Your act of honesty stands against their lies. Her tears slipped down her cheeks. She didn't understand everything, but she knew one thing. If they killed her, the card wouldn't be enough. The enemy would twist the story, claim the diplomat had lost it. Claim that peace was never real, her survival mattered. The diplomat saw the fear in her eyes, placed his hand gently on her shoulder. Listen to me. You are not alone anymore. You are under my protection. Do you believe me? Her lips trembled. For the first time, she whispered, yes. The diplomat nodded. His communicator buzzed again. A voice on the other side was urgent. Sir, we intercepted enemy chatter. They plan to capture the girl, not kill her. They want to use her to break the talks. If they show her as a thief, they will call the peace a fraud. The diplomat's face hardened. He stood, his voice sharp. Then we cannot let them take her. She must stay alive, protected. But even as he spoke, the chamber door cracked wider. A blast shook the walls. Guards fired as shadows poured through the smoke. The girl screamed, covering her head. The diplomat drew his weapon, firing into the dark. His voice rang like thunder. Hold the line. The fight was brutal. The room shook with fire, smoke, and shouts. One by one, guards fell. The girl crawled into the corner, trembling as figures in black armor stormed closer. One assassin reached for her arm. She kicked wildly, but he was too strong. His grip was iron. Then a blast of silver light struck him, sending him crashing into the wall. The diplomat stood over her, his face hard, his weapon steady. He pulled her behind him again. You are not theirs, he growled. The girl clung to his coat, her tears mixing with the smoke. She couldn't understand why he kept saving her, why he chose her over his own safety. But she knew one thing. Without him, she would already be gone. The battle raged on. But slowly, the assassins pulled back, retreating into the smoke. The last explosion faded, leaving silence and broken walls. The girl gasped for air, shaking but alive. The diplomat lowered his weapon. His face was pale, his eyes sharp. They will try again. They will never stop. Not until they destroy the truth you carry. The girl wiped her face, whispering, "What truth?" The diplomat looked at her for a long moment, then spoke the words that froze her blood. "The truth that you are an orphan, a nameless girl from the streets are, the one who saved peace. And now the galaxy knows your face." Her heart dropped. She was no longer invisible. She was no longer safe, and in that moment, she understood something terrifying. Her life would never be the same again. Asterisk. The smoke still hung heavy in the ruined chamber. Broken walls, scorched marble, and fallen guards painted a picture of war. The girl sat trembling in the corner, her face streaked with tears and dust. Her heart would not slow down. Every beat reminded her she was still alive, even though death had been only a breath away. The diplomat stood tall in the center of the room. His weapon was lowered now, but his eyes were sharp, cold as steel. He did not look at the broken doors or the fallen assassins. He looked only at her. "You are not safe here anymore," he said, his voice low but firm. "They will return, stronger. They will hunt you until you are gone." The girl's hands clenched into fists. Her voice cracked as she whispered, "But why? I don't understand. I am no one. I have nothing." The diplomat walked closer, kneeling in front of her. His eyes, though sharp, carried something gentler now. "You are wrong. You are not nothing. You are the one who carried truth back to me. You are the one who saved the key to peace. And for that, they fear you." Her lips trembled. She shook her head quickly, tears sliding down her face. "I didn't mean to save anything. I only wanted to do what was right. I just wanted to give back what wasn't mine." The diplomat gave a faint smile, though his eyes were still heavy with thought. Sometimes the smallest act of honesty is stronger than any weapon. "You've proved that." Before she could answer, the chamber doors burst open. More soldiers rushed in, not assassins this time, but embassy reinforcements. They surrounded the room, weapons high, eyes wide at the destruction. The leader bowed his head to the diplomat. "Sir, the council is waiting. They demand an answer. The attack has shaken the peace talks." The girl's chest tightened. She knew what this meant. Her presence had become more than danger, it had become politics. The diplomat stood, his voice steady. "Then I will give them their answer." He turned to her and extended his hand. "Come, walk with me." Her eyes widened. "Me? No. I can't. I don't belong with them." "You belong where truth belongs," he replied firmly. "And tonight, truth walks with me." Her legs trembled, but slowly she placed her hand in his. His grip was strong, steady, pulling her up. Together, they walked through the broken halls, soldiers clearing the path. Every step made her heart pound harder. At last, they reached the council chamber. Golden doors opened to reveal a massive hall filled with leaders, humans and aliens alike. Their eyes burned with suspicion, fear, and anger. The room buzzed with whispers that fell silent as the diplomat entered. He walked to the center of the chamber. The girl still at his side. Gasps filled the air. Some leaders frowned in disgust at her dirty clothes, her thin body, her street-born face. The council leader rose. His voice thundered. "What is this? You bring a street child into these talks of peace? After an attack that nearly destroyed us?" The diplomat's voice cut through the chamber, calm but powerful. "This child is the reason you are alive to speak today. This child is the reason the key to peace was not lost. Without her, the talks would already be over. Without her, we would be at war." The chamber stirred with shock. Whispers rose like waves. The girl lowered her head, ashamed, overwhelmed by so many eyes. "She is nothing. One alien leader spat. "You cannot expect us to believe a beggar saved us all." The diplomat's eyes flared. His voice grew sharper. "Believe what you want. But when the wallet was lost, none of you found it. When danger lurked in the shadows, none of you saw it. When the shot was fired, none of you stopped it. She did." The chamber went silent. Every leader stared at the girl. Her hands shook, her face burned with fear. She wanted to run. She wanted to disappear. But the diplomat's steady hand on her shoulder kept her standing. Finally, he turned back to the council. His voice dropped low, heavy with meaning. "If peace is to mean anything, it must belong to all, even the forgotten, even the ones with no names." Tonight, this girl proved that honesty still lives even in the darkest streets. If we ignore that, then peace is already dead. The silence broke into applause. Some slow, some hesitant, but it grew louder, echoing across the chamber. The girl lifted her head in shock. For the first time in her life, people were not looking at her with disgust. They were looking at her with respect. Her eyes filled with tears. She could not breathe. She had spent her whole life invisible, yet now the galaxy saw her. When the applause finally faded, the diplomat turned to her. His eyes were steady, his voice softer now. "You have a choice. You can return to the streets, forgotten again. Or," he paused, the hall waiting in silence, "you can come with me. Not as a servant, not as a spy, but as family. As my daughter." The girl gasped. Her hands flew to her mouth. Tears poured down her cheeks, unstoppable. The hall seemed to fade around her. Only his words remained, burning in her chest. She could not speak at first. Her voice was trapped by emotion. Finally, in a whisper that carried louder than the storm outside, she said the word that would change her life forever. "Yes." The hall erupted again, voices rising, some in shock, some in joy. But the girl heard none of it. She only heard her own heartbeat, steady and alive. For the first time with hope, the diplomat placed his hand on her shoulder and looked at the council. "Then let history record this. A nameless girl returned what was lost. And in doing so, she returned hope to us all." The chamber shook with applause. The girl's tears fell freely. She was no longer invisible. She was no longer nothing. She was someone, and that truth left everyone speechless. Asterisk.